Right, so now we're going to be talking about prop types. So prop types was a built-in ability of React for type checking. It was included by default on earlier versions of React, but now just like transitions group, we need to install the add-on. And we're going to be using the same templates than transitions. If you didn't download it, just download the main template, and we're going to be adding a route right now. So before I start explaining to you what to do with prop types, what we can do, I need to express that you might never use prop types in your life, and your React application is going to work just fine. I just could have skipped this prop types from the course, but in the future you might stumble with prop types and you're not going to know what to do with prop types. So, okay, again, if you want, you can skip it, or maybe you can just stay and at least know what prop types is all about. Okay, that's good. So let's start with prop types. First, we need to create a route to use this. So I'm going to create a class-based component and a child component. So first, I'm going to go right here to components. I'm going to create a new file that is going to be called user.js, and then I'm going to create a new file again that is going to be called user_template. Makes sense. Really simple. So inside the user is going to be a class-based component, and just for you to know, I'm using VS Code, and I've installed. I'm using a template right here. Is going to be called React.js code snippets, and right here, for example, if I do React with the R, just the letter R, React class component RCC is going to create a class-based component for you. So I'm going to be using this right now. You will need to install it, or you can just create a class-based component. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to say user, and of course this one is going to be called user. And this class-based component is going to have a state of something. I'm going to be adding something inside here in a minute. And of course this one is going to be calling a child component. For now, I'm not going to do anything. Just going to say component, whatever, and I'm going to add the route of this. So first I need to import. I'm going to say import, and it's going to be called user from, and then ./components/ and user. And I'm going to create the route. I'm going to copy the previous one, paste it at the bottom, say user, and right here for the name, I'm going to say prop types and then user. I'm going to create the route. So it's going to be user and then prop type user. Oh, sorry, it's going to be just user. Okay, so let me reload the page. We get pt user and we get component. So it's working. That's good. So now this one, we're going to create a component right here. So I'm going to do it right now. The component was called user template. So I'm just going to call it that way. It's going to be called user and then template, and then just close it. Okay, so now I need to create a component. First, I'm going to import it. It's going to be called user template, and then from, and we don't have it. I'm going to do it right here. So it's going to be ./component. Oh, ./ and it's going to be called user template. Good. So this user template, it's not doing anything. And again, with the code snippets, we can do React stateless components, and it's going to create it for us. It's really simple. User template. Okay, and then just user template and then template, whatever. Okay, and we are getting template. So this is working. We are just loading this user component, this class-based component, and calling that the user template component. So with prop types, what we need to do, what we can do with prop types is just type checking. We can check if we have the correct information. I'm going to give you a practical example, of course, but before using prop types, we need to install it. So I'm going to go to the terminal right here. I'm going to kill it, and I'm going to do npm install, and it's going to be prop -types, prop types. Let me make this bigger. Prop types, and then of course --save. going to take a second. It's not that big. Should be almost done. Okay. Yeah, it's taking longer than the expected. Okay. So I'm going to say npm start, going to start the application again. And I'm going to go back. Good. So it's still loading. So, okay, everything goes okay, works okay. So now this component, this user component, is going to have a state with some fields inside. And we're going to be passing as props the state of this component to the user template component. So I'm going to create some dummy data. I'm going to say name, and it's going to be equal to Francis, and last name, of course, is going to be Jones, and for now, just an age, and the age is going to be 25. That's good. So I just have some dumb user data, and I'm going to be passing all the state to the child component. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but if we want to pass the whole state of this component to the child component, we can do ... this state. And it's going to be passing everything, all the state as props. Good. So now we need to import the prop types. I'm going to go right here at the bottom and I'm going to say import, and it's going to be prop types, and then from, and then prop types, prop _ hyphen, and then types. And I'm making a mistake. It should be on the other component. So I'm going to copy it and put it inside user template. Good. So now, okay, this component is passing the state to the child component. In theory, if I do props right here and do console log and then the props, I should be getting the props. So I'm going to say console log and then props, just like that. And we get Francis, last name, and age. That's good. It's working. We know how to do this. So now this component is going to be using prop types to check the information we get in props. So to use it just after the component, the actual component, we need to make a reference to the name of the component. In this case, is user template, and then we say prop type. Okay, prop types. Let me make this right. It's prop types. Just like that. It's going to be equal, and it's going to be equal to an object. And now right here, we're going to be checking things. For example, this props is going to be receiving a name. Okay, and the name is going to be a string, and it's going to be Francis. So I'm going to make a reference to that name prop, and I'm going to invoke prop types right here, and then I'm going to say dot, and this one is going to be equal to a string. Now, if I reload the page, nothing happens. But if I go back to user and grab this Francis and change it to a number, so this name, it's not a string anymore. It's going to be a Boolean. And if we go right here to the browser, we are getting an error message. It's going to say failed prop type, invalid prop type name of type number supplied to user template. Expected a string, and this is the keyword, expected a string. But we are getting we are getting a number. So that is the problem. That's how we can use prop types. We use it to check that we are receiving the correct information inside props. That's the whole idea. The application still is going to work. Everything is going to work just fine if you don't have any other errors. The only thing that does is going to give you a warning. And why using this? Maybe in the future you make an application and someone else is going to grab that application and do some work on top. Good. So maybe you have some information that it's kind of a case sensitive and it should not be changed, or you need to make sure that that information has the correct type. So you use prop types. Okay, that's good. Let's check the other ones because we have a lot of information. We could have functions, we could have arrays, we could have objects, and of course we have a way to check it. So the first one is going to be a string. I'm just going to change it back. If I reload the application, we are not getting any warnings. The next one is going to be, again, just a string. So just to complete the example, I'm going to do comma, and I'm going to say last name, and same thing, prop types dot string, and it's going to pass. Good. The next one, it's going to be the age. Right here, the age. So the age is a number. It's going to different. So I'm going to do comma, and I'm going to say age, and it's going to be equal to prop types dot, and it's going to be a number. So if we check it, it passes. If I change it to whatever, just a string, it's not going to pass. It's going to give you a warning. That's good. So there's a lot of things that we need to check. So we need to add more information right here. For example, we can check arrays. I'm going to say hobbies, just like that. And then, of course, an array. And the hobbies are going to be run, then comma, and jump. That's good. So to check it, I'm going to go back to user template. And of course, we need to make a reference to that. It's going to be hobbies. It's going to be equal to Proptypes, just like that. And then dot. And how do we check if it's an array? Really simple, array. If we reload it, it passes. That's good. So it's working. So what else? What else we can check? We can check booleans. I'm going to say, I don't know, Spanish, then colon, and it's going to be false. So Francis knows how to speak English only, and not Spanish. So I'm going to do comma, and I'm going to say Spanish. Oh, Spanish. There we go. And again, it's going to be Proptypes dot, and of course, to check for booleans, it's going to be bool, B-O-O-L. Real simple. And it seems like I made a mistake. It's capital P. If we reload, we're not getting any errors, any warnings. It's passing. What else? We could use a function. I'm going to do a comma, and I'm going to write a function. It's going to be message, something like that, whatever. It's going to be, a function. So I'm going to create a function. And then this function is going to console log, hey, whatever. So this one is going to be passed as a function. How do we check if we have a function? Okay, first we need to make a reference to that function. That's going to be called message. And this function is going to be Proptypes, again, Proptypes dot, and to check if it's a function, we check func. And if we reload the page, it passes. That's good. So what else? We can check objects, of course. I'm going to do comma, and I'm going to do car, then colon, and I'm going to be adding an object. And it's going to be a brand of Ford, and then comma, and the model is going to be a Focus. Just like that. So right here inside car, we have an object. To check it, we can do car, of course, and again, Proptypes. Oop. There we go. Proptypes dot, and to check if it's an object, we can say object. And if we reload it, it passes. That's good. There's a lot of more things that we can do with Proptypes, more complicated things. So let's, I'm going to pause the video, and we're going to be checking the other ones. Okay, so we have a few more we can use. We can make use of one off. I'm gonna write it right here. Just gonna delete the name, the Proptype strings, because we cannot check for one thing twice. We cannot do name and then check the name again. We're gonna get an error message. So right here inside name, what we can do, we can make use of Proptypes. I'm gonna give you a practical example because it's kind of weird, and it's gonna be one off, and one off is gonna use an array. So pretty much with one off, we can check if the value of name it's Francis or is something else. So if I say Francis, it's gonna pass because we have Francis as name. And if we have Steve, for example, it's gonna pass because we have Francis. And if I change it to Steve, it's still gonna pass because we have Steve. But if we have something else different than Francis or Steve, it's not gonna pass. So right here it's passing. So if I do Jane, something like that, and reload the application, it's not gonna pass. It's gonna give you a warning for this. Okay, that's good. So there's one more thing that we can do. We can check for several things inside the same property. So right here, I'm gonna make use of Proptypes again. It's gonna be Proptypes dot, and I'm gonna be using one of type. So with one of type, we can check for several things. It's gonna be using an array, just like here, just an array, and we can check for different things. For example, I want to check if this is a Proptypes and it's a string. So if it's a string, it's gonna pass. So if I reload the application, it passes. If it's a number, I'm gonna say Proptypes, and then dot and number. And if I write a number inside user, it's gonna pass anyways because it is allowed, no warning. And of course, we can use, I don't know, something more complicated like prop types and one off. And again, same example than before. I'm gonna give an array, and it's gonna be Francis or Steve, just like that. I'm gonna change it to, I don't know, Francis. If I reload the application, it passes. And if I change it to Jane, of course, it's not gonna pass because we have this, but since the prop type is string, it's valid, is it still gonna pass? We are not getting an error message. If one of this matches the criteria of what we are getting, it's gonna pass, all right? Remember that. Okay, so we have more things. We can check if you're getting an array of something. I'm gonna go to hobbies. I'm gonna just delete this. I'm gonna say prop types, then dot and array off. So array off is gonna be checking what kind of information you have inside this array. Since we have strings, we're gonna be checking if we have strings. We're gonna say prop types dot and a string, and of course it's gonna pass because we have strings. But if I change it to number, for example, or boolean or whatever, it's gonna put numbers, it's not gonna pass because we are expecting a string. There's a lot of things we can do. If we can check if something it's required, I'm gonna go right here at the bottom, and I'm gonna say mother, and then prop types dot and then required, just like that. Oh, sorry, is required. So this one is gonna be checking that we have the mother right here. Mother is invalid, must be a function, usually propertized, but received undefined. This means that mother, it doesn't exist, and it's required. Okay, so that's good. Right here, I'm getting something different from hobbies. Is giving me the error message because we are expecting string. So I'm gonna change it back to string, and we're gonna get the error message from mother. Now, if I do comma and say mother, and then, I don't know, Martha, something like that. Oh, it should be, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'm gonna delete this. I made a mistake, I just omitted to do something. Right here, inside mother, we are just checking the prop types, and we want to check if it's string, and this one is gonna be required. We always need to do it at the end of something. So first, it's gonna load, and it's gonna pass. Sorry for that, I forgot to put this. Okay, there's one more thing we can do. It's a little bit complicated, so we're gonna go to the next video. It's gonna be really short, and then we're gonna be moving forward with the next topic.